everyone, and welcome to Hidden Jams, the backstage pass to your favorite music. I'm Amanda, a music sleuth / music journalist, and today we'll be going behind the music into the story behind Sara Bareilles' song, Little Voice. Most of you have probably heard the title Little Voice connected with Sara Bareilles before. Anyone who's collected her music, or at least remembers when Love Song was a big hit back in 2007, likely knows that her major label debut album was in fact titled Little Voice. But Little Voice is more than just an album title. Its story starts with a song called Little Voice, a song with a long and winding journey from the mid-2000s until its ultimate release in 2020. Let's take a look at Little Voice's journey. Sara put out her first full-length album, Careful Confessions, in January 2004. Although it was independently released, it sold a few thousand copies, and it ultimately led her to sign a record deal with Epic Records on April 15, 2005. Getting that deal was a process that involved getting a new manager, doing many showcases, being rejected several times, and continuing to write a lot of songs. Sara was evolving as an artist, and it was during this time that she wrote an important new song. In an Instagram post on March 25, 2019, more on that later, Sara revealed a little bit behind the story of Little Voice. Sara said, "I wrote the seeds of this song when I was 24 and a fledgling singer-songwriter. I felt like it said everything I had to say as a new artist, and it made me feel like me." Considering that Sara turned 24 in December 2003, she probably wrote the song between then and the end of 2004. In an older interview that Sara did with David Dye of NPR in November 2007, Sara shared a little bit more about the story behind Little Voice. Sara said, "I had a dream one time about writing a song called Little Voice, and then the idea of the little voice sort of became my mantra over the period of recording this album. It was about trying to listen to myself and stop taking everyone's opinion as gold. I guess I went into recording the album trying to please everybody. I realized kind of early on that I was getting lost in the shuffle. I didn't really know how to communicate my own ideas very well, because I think I was so caught up in wanting to know what everyone else thought about everything, and whether it was good, and wanting that validation. So I started to try to really listen to myself and go with my gut on things." Despite Sara confirming that she wrote the song when she was 24, based on this quote and some others that we'll get to in a moment, it sounds like she actually wrote the song after she had signed that record deal with Epic Records. She was 25 when she signed that record deal, which suggests that she may have actually been 25 or even 26 when she wrote the song. Here's what Sara said about Little Voice when presenting it to a crowd at a show in 2008. Sara said, "When I first got into the studio, I was having a really hard time figuring out how to stick up for myself, and I felt like I had no voice whatsoever. I had a dream one night about writing the song, and I really believe that, in a lot of ways, it saved me." At another show in early 2009, Sara said this about Little Voice. She said, "I was making a record, and it was the first time I'd ever done it in a professional setting, and it was very, very scary to me. And I had a dream, actually, about writing this song, and it sort of helped me find my voice again." Regardless of when exactly Little Voice was written, it's clear that it was an important song to Sara, both as a confident young woman and as it impacted her major label debut album. Speaking of that major label album, by spring 2007, the album was ready and done. The album was announced as Little Voice, and it would come out on July 3rd, 2007. Yes, Little Voice was the title track of the album. The only problem is, it wasn't actually on the album. We got 12 songs, plus 2 bonus tracks on special editions, but Little Voice wasn't among any of them. Here's what we did get: Love Song, Vegas, Bottle It Up, One Sweet Love, Come Round Soon, Morningside, Between the Lines, Love on the Rocks, City, Many the Miles, Fairy Tale, and Gravity. In Japan, we got a bonus track called Any Way the Wind Blows, and in a 2008 re-release of the album, we got a live cover of In Your Eyes, a song originally by Peter Gabriel. Okay, so Little Voice wasn't on the album. Was it at least a B-side? Unfortunately, no. The only B-side we got was a cover of River by Joni Mitchell. Alright, so it wasn't a B-side either. Was it released in any other way during that era? Again, Sorry to break it to you, but no, it wasn't. The only other song we got from the Little Voice album era was a song called August Moon, which Sara played live during concerts in 2008, and it was released on her 2008 live CD called Between the Lines. So what happened with Little Voice? Why wasn't it released despite being the title track? Sara explained a little bit more in her Instagram post on March 25th, 2019. Sara said, "I was told that it couldn't be included on my first record because it wasn't a strong enough song. So I called my first record Little Voice to honor and tether myself to the sentiment that my little voice was with me wherever I went, even if it was a whisper." In an interview with Variety on July 10th, 2020, Sara shared a little bit more. Sara said, "Little Voice is a song that I wrote back when I was in my 20s for my first record. I submitted the song and was told that it wasn't as strong as the rest of the songs on the record and should be omitted so as to protect the vision of the album as a whole. I was devastated, of course, but that song was the entire inspiration to name my first record Little Voice." So yes, it really does suck that Little Voice wasn't included on the album that it gave its name to. But fear not, we did get to hear Little Voice in time. We may not have gotten an official release of Little Voice, but that didn't stop Sara from sharing it with her fans. According to setlist.fm, Sara performed Little Voice as early as May 19th, 2006 at the Hotel Cafe in Los Angeles. The earliest video that I was able to find on YouTube was filmed on July 10th, 2007, just 1 week after the album Little Voice came out. Also, bear in mind, July 10th is an important date. You'll find out more about that later in this video, so stay tuned. You can see that first live video from July 10th, 2007, linked here in this video. Sara continued to play Little Voice live during her 2008 and 2009 concerts until she finished touring in support of the album Little Voice. Sara generally introduced the song by telling the story of how she dreamed it into existence and how it gave the name to her album. Even if Little Voice wasn't actually on that album, it still played an immense role in that first album era and in Sara's early expanding audience. So, you might have noticed that I said that Sara was performing Little Voice live back in 2007, 2008, and 2009. How did the song sound back then? The first performance that I found from 2007 was very minimal. It was just Sara and her piano, and she performed the whole song, verse, chorus, a bridge, the final chorus, and an outro. I didn't notice that outro being in any other versions of the song, although she did continue to have a sort of outro in the first few live performances that I found. In a March 2008 performance, the song was still played on piano, but it had subtle texture to fill out the sound, including guitar and a drum that's hit with the hands. It still had the bridge, and it still had an outro, although the outro sounded a little bit different this time. At a Halloween show in 2008, the song sounded quite different. In this carnation, it had a full band. Sara was playing guitar, not piano, and it was filled out with drums and bass. It had a real rock band vibe to it, and it actually had a lot more energy and a little bit of attitude. It was actually a pretty fun version of the song, and I haven't heard it sound anything like that in any of the other performances that I saw. Finally, in January 2009, that performance, again, didn't have piano. Sara sang, and it was filled out with acoustic guitar and electric guitar. It was a more intimate sound, and it felt smaller and more personal, and live performances weren't all we got. Although Little Voice was not actually included on the album, Sara did still record a demo of the song. The demo eventually found its way online. The earliest evidence I could find of its leak online was a July 27th, 2009 YouTube video. I'm not sure if it made its way online before that, but that's the earliest evidence I have. If you know anything more about that, if you were a fan back in 2007, 2008, 2009, please let me know in the comments. So how does the demo sound compared to the live versions? In contrast to the first few live versions, which featured Sara playing piano, the demo recording that leaked online is actually just Sara and acoustic guitar. It still has that same format with the verse, chorus, bridge, and then the final chorus. But it doesn't have that outro that I heard on earlier versions that she performed live. The demo recording that leaked online is nearly 4 minutes long, and it's worth listening to if you're a hardcore Sara Bareilles fan. So, why are we still talking about Little Voice today? Well, Let's fast forward 1 decade from where we were to June 6th, 2018. On that day in early June, news broke that Sara had teamed up with J.J. Abrams and Jesse Nelson to make a 10-episode, 30-minute series for Apple TV+. And that series was titled Little Voice. I admit, I was pretty surprised by this announcement. Not least because I had never expected Sara to go into TV. I was especially excited because of the title. Now let's back up for a moment here. Sara Bareilles made a name for herself as a pop musician. We've all heard songs like Love Song and Brave on the radio, and her albums have even been nominated for Grammys. More recently, she won a Grammy. But in the last 5 years, Sara Bareilles has really started branching out into other forms of media. It started in 2015 when Sara published her first book, Sounds Like Me, My Life So Far in Song. This book is a collection of essays, each one rooted in one of her songs from her own back catalog. That same year, in 2015, Sara also revealed that she was writing the songs for a new musical called Waitress. That November, she released an album of songs that she had written for that musical, calling it What's Inside, Songs from Waitress. Waitress continued to play a big part of Sara's life for the last 5 years. She went on to perform in the musical, playing the leading role on Broadway several times. More recently, she also assumed the leading role when the stage production went to London. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, that production was cut short. Beyond acting in Waitress, Sara also appeared in a TV production of Jesus Christ Superstar, alongside people like John Legend. So anyway, back to 2018. When news broke that Sara was doing a TV show called Little Voice, I wasn't completely surprised that she was moving into television. It seemed like a natural step from musicals, and if anything, Sara has proven that she's comfortable in more realms than just music. Now, the Apple TV Plus series being called Little Voice never felt like simple serendipity to me. Again, every fan who's been following Sara Bareilles knows that her first album was called Little Voice, and that it had a song called Little Voice that was never released from it. So what were the odds of releasing a TV show called Little Voice without that song playing some kind of a role? In March 2019, we finally got the comeback we've been waiting for. At an Apple event, Sara and J.J. Abrams appeared on stage to formally introduce Little Voice, the TV series. At the end of their short speech, Sara also played a live version of Little Voice, confirmed to be the theme song of the series. It was a very short performance, under 2 minutes, but it was beautiful, and it harkened back to that first performance that I was able to find on YouTube. It was just Sara and her piano. Simple, but beautiful. The biggest differences here were the following. First of all, it went back to just her voice and her piano. No guitar, no drums. Another big difference is that the song now lacked the bridge and the final chorus. This new version that Sara performed was just the first verse, the chorus, the second verse, and the final chorus. Because it was lacking the bridge and the extra chorus at the end, it ended up being under 2 minutes long. But that makes sense for theme songs. Theme songs aren't normally too long because people aren't that patient when they're waiting for the TV show to begin. When Sara shared this performance on her Instagram in March 2019, she also shared a personal message. Sara said, "I wrote the seeds of this song when I was 24 and a fledgling singer-songwriter. I felt like it said everything I had to say as a new artist, and it made me feel like me. I was told that it couldn't be included on my first record because it wasn't a strong enough song. So I called my first record Little Voice to honor it and tether myself to the sentiment that my little voice was with me wherever I went, even if it was a whisper. Here I am 15 years later and 10,000 lessons later, and it turns out that the song was strong enough to whisper to me all of these years and knock on the door again and accompany a new story of a new songwriter and how she will find her voice. Here I am premiering the theme song for the new Apple TV show that we are making with J.J. Abrams at the Apple event this morning. Sometimes the long walks are worth it. It's just my little voice that I've been missing. #little voice. So let's fast forward 1 more year. Yes, TV shows do take a while. 2 full years after that initial announcement of Little Voice, the TV series, Sara went onto her Instagram Live to perform the theme song, Little Voice, one more time. Again, this performance was just like the one she did in 2019. It was short, with only the 2 verses and the 2 choruses, no bridge. But this time it was a little bit longer than that 2019 one. It lasted about 2.5 minutes this time. Right after playing that song, Sara spoke a little bit about the story. Again, this is the story of where that song came from and why it wasn't released and how it ended up here with the TV series Little Voice. Sara said, "That song was written when I was 24 years old, 24, 25, and I wrote it for my first record. And I was told at the time that the song was not good enough to be on my first record. Even though I had had a dream about writing this song, I had a dream about a way to return to my own voice in the process of making a record for the first time, and how insane and crazy and horrible it felt. And I was told that it wasn't good enough. And so I sat in a demo, a recording, in my mind for all of these years. And here we are, and it's amazing to see it see the light of day." Finally, on June 12, 2020, Sara released the official studio recording of Little Voice. It took 13 extra years, but we finally got it. This recording of Little Voice is a theme song for the series Little Voice. Like that live performance in 2019, and like that more recent live performance in May 2020, this studio recording of Little Voice is only 2.5 minutes long. It features just Sara singing along with her piano. It's a delicate and beautiful version, and I know that I, and probably all Sara Bareilles fans, are really happy to finally have it. So, what about the TV series Little Voice? The TV series Little Voice premiered on July 10th, 2020, 1 week ago today as of this recording. On that Friday, July 10th, the first 3 episodes of the series Little Voice premiered on Apple TV+. Following that premiere, each week 1 new episode will be released. In fact, the 4th one is out today, and I need to go watch it as soon as this video is over. The TV series follows a girl named Bess, and she, like Sara once was, is a young woman trying to find her voice and find her confidence in her own music. And since Bess King is a musician herself, the series Little Voice is very musical. Each episode features original music composed by Sara. Many of these songs are songs that Sara wrote years ago that were just never included on any of her albums. Other songs are songs that she wrote more recently, specifically for the series. Some songs she wrote alone, and other songs she wrote with co-writers. Considering that Little Voice is a very musical series, it's no surprise that there will be a cast album. And after that cast album, what I've been waiting for as a Sara Bareilles fan, she will in fact make a concept record. Just like how Sara made an album of waitress songs back in 2015, Sara will in fact record an album of Little Voice songs as well. Sara told Variety in a recent interview, "I will indeed make a concept record when the time is right, reimagining the music of the show as a Sara Bareilles record." I'm pretty excited about that. Many of the songs that she wrote for Little Voice are songs that she had written in the past for previous albums that were just never released. Other songs are songs that she wrote specifically for the album. In addition to writing some of the songs on her own, Sara also wrote with co-writers, including Jack Antonoff, whom she wrote Brave with, Laura McKenna, whom she wrote Miss Simone, Saint Honesty, and A Safe Place to Land with, Justin Tranter, with whom she wrote No Such Thing and Poetry for Dead Men, and Hillary Lindsay. In some cases, they fleshed out songs that Sara had already started, and in other cases, they started whole new songs together. Some songs that Sara included are Simple and True, which she wrote years ago and she loves, and she's not really sure why it never made it on an album before. Luckily, it'll see the light of day soon. There's also Coming Back to You, which she wrote when she was younger. And finally, we know of a song called Ghost Light, which she wrote specifically for the show. As of this recording, we've heard the original songs Little Voice, I Don't Know Anything, Coming Back to You, Dear Hope, and most recently, King of the Lost Boys. It doesn't sound like Sara's recorded her new concept album just yet, but I look forward to when she does, and I'll let you know as soon as that news is available. So that's it for the whole story of Little Voice, a song that went from a whisper to a demo to a live version, and ultimately to a theme song for a brand new Apple TV Plus series. If you like this video, please like and leave a comment, and please be sure to share it. Please subscribe to my channel and ring the bell for notifications of all my upcoming videos. And if there are any songs that you would like me to dive into the backstory of, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.